Today I want to tell you guys all about finding storage units you can work in to flip furniture. If you think this is an easy task, think again. I've had so many annoying setbacks when it comes to finding storage units. But don't worry, I'm not going to let you make the same mistakes that I made. Hey guys, my name is Logan. I'm the furniture flipping entrepreneur. I teach others how to escape the 9-to-5 by flipping furniture. The first thing to consider when you're looking into getting storage units are whether or not you actually need one. Sometimes it makes more sense to use your own space as opposed to going out and spending money for a storage unit. If you have a personal garage, I'd highly recommend you just using your garage. It'll save you time, money, and it'll be a lot more convenient. If you don't have a garage, that's not a deal breaker. You'll just find yourself in the same situation that I found myself in which case you need to find a storage unit. When I first got started furniture flipping, I just worked within my means. So I was using my apartment complex and parking garage to paint and refurbish the furniture and then store the pieces in my living room until the pieces were sold. I got the job done, but it came with some obvious downsides. I was subject to the elements and had to work in the rain, freezing temperatures, and worst of all, the wind. Wind would constantly blow my supplies away and also blow a lot of dirt and debris onto fresh coats of paint. One windy day, I was holding a quart of paint and I dropped it. It slid on the pavement, left a permanent stain. Low-key, still waiting to get a call from the management on that one. There were a lot of distractions. Cars and people were always walking by. I was always paranoid that management was going to come up and reprimand me for using the space. So if you can relate, you're probably the kind of person who needs to find a storage unit that you can work in. There were a ton of benefits to me working out of a storage unit instead of my tiny apartment. It saved me time and effort not having to walk furniture up and down the stairs. I wasn't constantly fighting the elements, and it gave me a lot of my personal living space back. I wish I took a picture of how it looked then because it was so crazy. I literally had to walk over couches to get from the kitchen to my bedroom door. So if you think finding a storage unit is the right move for you, there are really 5 things to consider when looking for a storage unit. You need to consider the size and price in your budget. Is there a drive up? Will the management let you work out of your unit? Electricity and security. When calling around and pricing different units, I knew I needed to find a size that could accommodate refurbishing, staging, and storage. So I determined a 10 by 20 is probably the smallest I should go. So I started looking around my neighborhood for the cheapest units I could find in that size. I made a list and started making calls. I found one 10 by 20 unit that came out to around $289 a month, which if you do the math, it's about 1 or 2 furniture flips. So I went ahead and scheduled my tour. The next thing to consider is whether you want your storage unit to have drive-up access or not. So I personally had enough experience hauling furniture up and down stairs to know that I learned the ability to just back my truck up to a storage unit and unload from there. Of the original 3 storage units that I looked into, 2 did not have drive-up access, so I eliminated them. But stay tuned until the end of this video because this decision came back to bite me hard. The next thing you must consider is your management's policy towards working out of your storage unit. I learned some storage unit providers have a very strict storage-only policy, whereas the storage unit I was talking to had a much more lenient approach where they were much more open to you working out of your storage unit. They even had a variety of units that were repurposed to be used as shops. Okay, so I found my storage unit. I thought it was perfect. So far, I knew it had the right size and price that I wanted. It had electricity, management was pretty chill, and there were electrical outlets inside of my storage unit. This means I could plug in sanders, vacuums, drills, etc. I was pumped, but I was in for a rude surprise. When filling out my month-to-month contract with this storage facility, I was told I just need to call the utility company and they would take care of setting up the electricity for me. So I signed the contract, I left the office, and I called the utility company. However, as it turns out, the utility company differentiates between commercial units and residential units. For commercial units, such as the one that I was inquiring about, they charge $300 for the deposit. This was going to be a big hit to that month's net income. And that's especially at a time when my budget was super small. If you're looking for a storage unit you can work in, you have to have electricity. Otherwise, you won't be able to do the most basic furniture flips like vacuuming a couch, much less the more advanced aspects of furniture flipping like refurbishing wooden furniture and building staging walls. So I started looking on the internet for alternatives to this expensive $300 deposit, and I came across this amazing hack that would be so essential to your furniture flipping business. I bought this tool called the Ryobi 800-watt power inverter. It allowed me to completely bypass the electrical company and convert my car's battery into a power outlet. I didn't even know this existed until then, but it's been super crucial to me running my furniture flipping business. The Ryobi 800 watt power inverter is strong enough to power most of my tools, including my rigid orbital sander, my drill, and my Bissell upholstery vacuum. To double check if the Ryobi power inverter can work with your tools, just look on the back of your tools, read the amps and volts, multiply the two, and if it equals less than 800, then you're good to go. If you're uncomfortable using your car's battery as your power source, you can also buy a Ryobi One Plus battery, and that will plug into your inverter. And that way you're fully electric and you can run up to 300 watts power. So the last thing on my list of things you need to consider before finding storage units to work in is security. As I mentioned earlier in this video, I had to learn a really hard lesson when I decided to go with the more convenient drive-up access. While it does save you a lot of time and effort because it's so easy to drive up to and drop your furniture off, it also makes your stuff a lot easier to be stolen by thieves. Like many places around the US right now, Austin's crime has gone up a lot. Within 1 week of me moving into my new storage unit, there was a major break-in across the whole complex. In just my row alone, there were 7 break-ins. I was luckily missed in this attack, but as I found out, this was not an uncommon occurrence. I did a more thorough search of the online reviews for this storage unit provider, and I found out this is a pretty common downside to this particular provider. I decided to proactively create another barrier of resistance within my storage unit. So I reached out to a local welder and I had him build me a fence panel, which I then attached behind my sliding door with strong chains and locks. It can still be broken, but hopefully it will act as enough of a deterrent to keep the criminals out. The added security cost me $150 to have the fence made, and then another $120 for just the chains and locks. So this total security update cost me around $270, which is an expense I really didn't want to deal with right now. So in considering what storage unit to work in, make sure you talk to management beforehand, you read online reviews, even walk up to someone who is already leasing there and ask them about the security. Okay guys, I hope these lessons and tips will help you confidently find the type of storage you need to start your furniture flipping business. My journey had a lot of ups and downs, but hopefully with this information, your experience will be a lot smoother. If you found this video helpful, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way you'll never miss future videos about how to become a successful furniture flipping entrepreneur.